Castlegate virtual tours for Heritage Open Days 2020. This is Simon Ogden, Castlegate Programme Director for the Council, and today we're going to have a look at the hidden arches of Ladies Bridge down by the River Don, and we're going to do it in the expert hands of Neil and Juliet from the City Kayak Club, who are going to take us there on the water, of course. So we're setting off from Nursery Street Park, a little pocket park and flood defence that was put in about 10 years ago, and it gives a nice launching point for canoes onto the River Don. And we're gliding along relatively deep water towards the weir, because the weir obviously holds the water back, and we're looking up at the lawyers' offices, the flats, and the old Whitbread's brewery, Exchange Brewery on legs out over the weir. And we're approaching probably the best known weir in Sheffield, the Wicker Weir, water runs out at weir, as they say. Now we're gliding along the top of the weir, quite a long weir, and we're heading for the Rotherham end of Ladies Bridge, and the weir actually goes underneath the bridge right to the other side. And here we are underneath Ladies Bridge, the archway closest to the Wicker, and we're looking at a bridge sandwich really, because right behind me here you can see a very distinctive medieval stone bridge with the ribs, and then either side of it you've got extensions that were added on as the town of Sheffield grew in 1761, in 1864 and in 1909, the last one being for the trams, I think. Ladies Bridge is one of the four basic elements of the town that we think came from the Normans. Originally William de Lovetot was the first Norman lord of the manor, and he gave four things, or had four things built for him in Sheffield: a castle, a church, parish church, where the cathedral is now, a corn mill somewhere on mill sands, and a bridge where we're standing now. The bridge was probably wooden originally. We think that this stone bridge was built in 1485, so that replaced an earlier wooden bridge, and there are records in the town trust archives of how much it cost and who was the mason who built it. And when they built it in stone, they also added a little chapel, a chapel dedicated to Our Lady, the Virgin Mary, with a monk who was paid to pray for the souls of the lords of the manor, and also to provide a place of prayer when you were setting out on a journey crossing Ladies Bridge, because travel in those days was pretty dangerous, so it was good advice to have a little pray before you set off. A kind of medieval service station, you could say. Although this bridge is 600 years old, it's still capable of taking modern heavy traffic. It's withstood numerous huge floods, including the Great Sheffield Flood of 1862, when it was the only bridge on the Don that wasn't swept away, and the more recent floods in 2007. And when the council surveyors did a structural check on the bridge recently, they found that the bit that had least structural problems was the oldest bit, the medieval part. The bit that had the most severe structural problems was actually the most recent, which was the metal bit on the outside. As we look out from the bridge across the weir, the Wicker Weir, you can see that the weir is actually built into the bridge, and it runs right underneath the bridge and out the other side, which suggests to me that the weir was here before the bridge, because it would be a very complicated thing to build a weir once the bridge was here. So the Wicker Weir probably came first and the bridge passed over it. So here we are on the downstream side of the bridge, and what you're looking at here, at first it looks like just a tangle of old rubbish and logs and things that have been washed down by the river, but actually there's some quite interesting industrial archaeology here, because you've got two sluice gates, one here and one underneath the the girder there, that supplied two different historic water-powered factories. This one was for the Wicker wheels, that were factories that were on the Wicker, between the Wicker and the river, and probably dated from the late 15th or 16th century. And then over here was another sluice that provided water for an 18th century forge called the Wicker Tilt, that was run for many years by the Huntsman family, famous for Benjamin Huntsman, who was the inventor of steel, true steel in Sheffield, and also by Benjamin Blanc, whose name is immortalised in Blanc Street and Blanc Bridge. And I have a theory about the Blancs, because Blanc sounds like a very Yorkshire name, B-L-N-O-K, B-L-O-N-K, but then when you think about it, it also sounds like a French name. So I think it's very likely that the Blancs were one of a number of Huguenot families that came to Sheffield in the Tudor times, brought across because of their skills in scissor making. What makes me think that? Because Benjamin Blanc was a scissor maker and one of the first people to adopt steam power at this factory at the end of the 18th century. You're also looking at a lot of brickwork here, and this is actually the foundations of the very distinctive building that sits just below Ladies Bridge, that was built by Henry Briers at the end of the 19th century as his combined stables, veterinary surgery, apartments and his own house, and it's now been converted to apartments, and actually a new shop is just about to open on the ground floor. It's a lot of people's favourite building in this part of town because it's so distinctive and so unlike anything around it. And so this is the foundations you're looking at here, and behind that brick wall was actually Henry Briers' dog's home, because being an animal lover, he actually maintained a home for stray dogs, which is still there. The door to it is still there, and it still says dog's home over it. This stonework below the brickwork, I can't say for certain, but to me looks like the stonework from the old Wicker Tilt, which is what Castlegate's about. It is this patchwork of different ages all slightly scrambled together.